So in this lesson moving forward, right, we are going to create what is something called the Redis worker pods, right? So basically now we're towards the slave end of things. So we did create the master pod, and now we are going to create two of these things. So although the Redis master is a single pod, we'll set up the Redis read workers, right, as replicated pods. So a replication controller will ensure that a specified number of pod replicas are running at any one time. And we define a configuration file basically that indicates what we want our pods set to look like. And then the replication controller will be responsible for achieving that state. So if there are too many pods, for example, it will kill some. If there are too few, which may occur because of pod or node failure, it will start some more. And that's what replication controllers do all the time. They maintain a balance. So the file that we need for this is the redis slave-controller.yaml file. And let's go ahead and let me show you this file. So first do the ls, and this will list out all the files within the legacy. Let me go back here and start over so that you can see. So here's my folders, right? So we have the Kubernetes folder, so I'm going to go to Kubernetes. Just changing directories here, showing you again step by step. I could have just done it once, but I want to make sure that you understand and take a look at, and the more you practice, the easier it'll become for you. So right after Kubernetes, we are going to go ahead and change to examples. This is another directory. Do the ls again, and here's a bunch of other directories within the examples. And I'm looking for Guestbook, which is, by the way, right here, right? That's what I'm looking for. So change that to Guestbook, cd Guestbook. And then do the ls again. And this time I'm going to go to legacy, cd legacy, where I'm going to find the file called redis slave controller.yaml. Okay, so you just have to work your way down into various directories, but eventually you'll get to this file. So basically we need to create this pod next. And you can take a look at the contents of this file as well. Okay, so you can open up any editor like VI, and I've shown you this in previous lessons, right, or Emacs or whatever. So for example, let me in fact demonstrate this quick so we know even better. So I'm going to say vim and redis slave controller.yaml. Okay, so it's going to open the file in the editor, and this will allow me to change the number of nodes maybe. Okay, so this file has 2 nodes, and if I were to just go to my GitHub here and try to find this file, go under examples, and within examples I'm going to find something called Guestbook, same thing, right? And legacy here, and here's the Redis slave controller, right? So if I were to click on this file, that's what this file looks like. Here's the name called Redis slave, and then of course we have the tier still the backend, and here are the replicas, right? So I can modify this depending upon my own requirement. Now obviously on GitHub I cannot modify this, but within my container engine or within my shell I have the ability to modify it using the editor. Okay, and of course I can modify any of these lines of code as well. So for example, let's go back to our shell here. So here's the command that will open up the editor, and then I will open up this file for you. Okay, hit enter key, and this is going to open the editor for you. So I can scroll down. Notice it's the same file as you saw on the GitHub, and where are the replicas? Right here is the replicas, and of course if I need to change the 2 to maybe 3, 4, 5, depending upon my own requirement, I could do so. So it depends on your own requirement as to changing the file. Okay, and this is again the editor mode called the VI, and I'll put together or I rather did put together in the previous lessons, the resources where the commands you can take a look at how to work within the VI editor. You can of course use any other editor, but since we're using the shell, it's easier to work within the shell as you move along. Okay, so let me get out of the editor, and this is going to take me back to my shell. Just to make sure, if I do the ls, we still have the file, right? We didn't change anything. Just wanted to demonstrate where you can go use the editor and change the file. Our next step is to simply run the same command that we've been running so far in the previous lessons also. So I'm going to go ahead and say kubectl create, and of course our flag and the file name. So it's redis slave controller.yaml. Hit the enter key on the keyboard, and it is going to create a replication controller called Redis slave, and it shows me that it's created. And if I were to run the, let's say, get pods command now, so kubectl get pods, or let's spell kubectl with a B, get pods, and this will list the pods so far. So far we have the Redis master, right? And then we have the Redis slave, and then we have the Redis slave again, okay? Because there were 2 nodes for the Redis slave, okay? Because the YAML file, the Redis slave controller.yaml file that we just took a look in the editor, notice it had 2 nodes, right? So therefore 2 nodes were created. If I were to change this to 3 nodes, it will create 3 nodes, okay? So depending upon your own requirement. So in this lesson, I just wanted to demonstrate how to go about and using the slave controller and creating those 2 replication controllers. Perfect. So practice, and let's move to the next lesson.